Emergency, Müller.
Help us! We're trapped! I can't see my son! Wir sind unter einer Lawine begraben. Raphael, sag doch bitte etwas. Raphael!
Rega to Rega 9, avalanche emergency. Dinge die Road below ready to pass, over. Rega 9, roger. Sehr airborne. Update on your avalanche. The GPS coordinates are 800775 on 144525. Rega 9, roger.
Raphael! Hurry! I think I see him!
Rega 9 to Rega. We have a visual on the accident, over.
Roger, Rega 9.
Raphael, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Just so you know, Mom's actually a good driver. I had a concussion, but I remember this really cool sound. If you have to go to the hospital, take my advice. The best way is by helicopter.
A child born into a world with helicopters lives in a world where the miraculous is commonplace. A world where doctors swoop down from the sky. For generations, we dreamt of vertical flight. Yet by 1930, we were still at the dawn of the practical rotorcraft. Helicopters couldn't lift patients to safety. They could barely lift themselves safely. The necessary control systems had yet to be invented. And so, before the helicopter, we had this, the autogyro. Controlled like an airplane, but lifted on blades like a helicopter, the autogyro was a hybrid, an evolutionary missing link from which the working helicopter was born. The helicopter could hover in one spot. It had an improved control system, and as a result, a new kind of pilot. A pilot who uses all four limbs to fly, all at the same time. Watch his left hand carefully. He's holding the collective pitch control as he pulls up on it. Straight up. The blades act as small wings, but spin so fast they create one continuous disc of lift. And when those blades collectively change angle or pitch, the aircraft rises or descends. The pilot's right hand points the cyclic control, tilting the whirling disc above. Point right, go right. Point left, go left. This is the chopper's tail rotor. Once again, altering the angle of the blades affects direction. The chopper spins in response to the pilot depressing one of two foot pedals. If he depresses the other foot pedal, it spins the other way. There's no one in the world for whom flying a helicopter comes naturally. But practice produces pilots as adept as the aircraft they fly. By the early 1940s, the whirlybird had gained acceptance. But we wanted more power, more stability. Nicknamed the Flying Banana, this tandem rotor workhorse from the 1950s lifted troops and supplies at record speeds. Was a success. We started to wonder, what can it do for us next? In wind tunnels like these at California's NASA Ames Research Center, new helicopter ideas are tested. Ideas like robotic helicopters, high-speed hybrids, and advances in quiet technology. But not all the complexities of helicopter flight can be modeled in smoke or mathematics.
Okay, let's do the conversion now.
The XV-15 is an experimental rotorcraft. It's the parent of a new family of aircraft called tilt rotors.
You just have way too much fun in that thing, you know that? Here we go.
Taking off and landing like a helicopter, its engines can pivot forward in flight, turning a helicopter into a high-speed airplane. The V-22 Osprey has wings that swing and rotors that fold to facilitate storage at sea.
Converting circuit breakers, you ready for those?
Yes.
It's still a tilt rotor, but faster, with 3 times the range and over 10 times the payload of its predecessor.
Gas engaged, FFS engaged.
You got it.
Flight 40.
40.
Engines checked. Transponder is set. Flight FA, we're on.
In less than 90 seconds, you get this.
No jettison pins. I've got mine out. You've got yours.
Got mine.
The promise of long-distance travel without airports.
And C10 working brake.
Release.
But rotorcraft evolution is also in the hands of the entrepreneur. That independent spirit takes flight in this gyroplane. While some designs produce groundbreaking change, this aircraft brought the economy and safety of the autogyro into the 21st century. We're being watched, and by someone who's invisible, at least on radar. Comanche's rigid rotor, seamless skin, and enclosed fantail make it agile and stealthy. It's smart, fast, and ready to win the game of hide and seek. Where is the enemy? Where are my friends? Comanche will be the first to know. And knowledge means survival. The helicopter is a complex flying creation, a revolutionary tool with a human being at its heart. Every hour of every day, it extends our powers, fires our imagination, and puts us to work.
5 miles southeast of Sands Key, 2525 north, 8005 west, airdrop in progress, airdrop in progress.
Out over the Caribbean, U.S. Customs is on watch.
Roger that. Looks like over 25 bales are still dropping. We've got a go-fast boat coming in for the pickup, and 4-5 Charlie Sierra. Suspect aircraft is bugging out. Roger, Omaha 49. Stick with that aircraft. Helos are on the way.
Watch the A-star. Watch the black line. Watch the A-star. Watch the black line. Heading 050. Heading 050.
You hear that alarm, you start running to the aircraft. Fast.
Control levers to fly. Troop stuff's coming out. Generator lights 1 and 2 coming off. Good to go.
Smugglers used to run narcotics under cover of night. Now they try at any time.
Omaha 99. 35 Whiskey's turning north for the takedown.
9-9, Roger. We'll cover the back door.
Come on, man. Come on, come on. Move it. Let's go.
Takedown in progress. Suspect boat is running east.
9-9 is inbound. Low level.
We got Marine backup 3 miles south.
Roger that. Let's cut these guys off.
In an hour, they can be back in international waters. And I don't want to see them again next week. If they don't back down, we get creative with the rotor wash. Whips up the sea spray, makes it real hard for them to navigate, and that buys us time.
Let me know when they're in the wash. They're all yours.
We're on them.
It's a cat and mouse game, and I hate mice.
The helicopter extends the long arm of the law and empowers this white knight on a quest to keep the juice flowing.
I don't give 2 hoots and a holler about flying inside a helicopter. Put me outside. That's where I want to be. On a magic carpet. Back in the late 1800s, there was a gentleman by the name of Michael Faraday. He had a theory that if you enclosed a man in a metal cage and energized that cage at whatever voltage, the man would still live. The voltage would flow around him. I wear a hot suit. It's 75% Nomex for fire retardant and 25% stainless steel thread. And that metal thread means I have a Faraday cage around me. 500,000 volts pass over my body, but I can work without interference from the electricity. As long as the helicopter is isolated from ground, we have the ability to bring ourselves to the same voltage potential as the line, like a bird on a wire. Our pilots are very smooth. It's like they can read our every thought. There's such a hunger for electricity these days. Nobody wants to take lines out of service just to maintain them. I've had many people ask me, do you think what you do is safe? And I say, well, in our operation, everything that we do, every move that we make is thought of and rehearsed before, so it's as safe as crossing the street. It's not a job for a hot dog. There's only 3 things I've ever been afraid of. Electricity, heights, and women. And I'm married, too.
Floating above the forest, the 12-ton weightlifter selects a target with precision.
It's kind of like looking down 25 stories and picking up a telephone pole. Ideally, when you come over the top, you're stationed perfectly above it. But odds being what odds are and the wind being what it is, it's not always that easy. I like flying logs rather than seeing the hillside get scarred up. Lifting straight out of the forest. You're not scraping it up the hill. You're not eroding the soil. It's so much cleaner on the environment. It's kind of like flying a bus. You got to plan your movements out. It takes a moment for it to react, but when it does, it's a serious reaction. The unique thing about this helicopter is that when we take off of the ground, we're approximately 22,000 pounds. We're rigging them for about 26,000 pounds. So the load actually weighs more than a helicopter. It's exciting and harrowing all at the same time.
This type of lifter was built to haul a very different cargo. When loaded down with troops, supplies, and armor plate, it still plays a role on the helicopter's biggest stage.
Tower, you're clear to launch on the launch officer's signal. Winds 15 degrees, port at 30 knots.
Area is clear to launch.
Waiting 55. Red line 77 tower. Go ahead, sir. And 99 helos, my plan right now is to launch you all, put you in the starboard D. I've got one fixed wing to shoot. Local, sir.
This recon team is at the focal point of a mission to gain valuable intelligence about the enemy. Call sign, Shamrock.
Condor 1-4, you're clear for takeoff.
Roger. Condor 1-4, clear for takeoff.
And we're 6-6, Ugly 0-0, Red Lion and 7-7. Clear to lift in that order.
Roger. Sliding left.
Winds 10 degrees port, 30 knots. Port of
Roger. We're looking good.
6-6, follow the Beach 53, ERC 080, altimeter 3002.
Coming up ahead, half a mile, left 10. Bulldog 1, this is Condor 1-4, we're right on time.
Condor 1-4, Bulldog 1, roger.
Red Lion 7-7, follow Beach 53, head to right, enter submarine.
Condor, gunrunner is sprinting. Cobra's coming up on the right side, 3 o'clock. I got him.
02, Gunrunner and Warrior aircraft will be working the vicinity in the next 0 plus 30. Okay, we'll be coming easy left.
Gunrunner 1-4 is clear.
Shamrock team leader is Sergeant Kennecke. He's first in, last out.
First name, second name, third name, fourth name.
By the time you get to touch rope in a live situation, you and your men feel tighter than family. Your fates are tied with the strands of the rope.
Condor 1-4, Shamrock is deployed. Ropes aboard. We're on the go. Start checklist for objective Bravo.
2 hours later, Kennecke and his men have completed their mission. Now, enemy forces are tracking them on the ground.
Legacy, Shamrock. Roger, Shamrock. This is Legacy 1-0. Go ahead. Legacy, when you pause, estimate enemy contact 1,000 meters north.
Extraction, even more than insertion, is when you need speed. You've been awful quiet, and then suddenly, you're awful loud.
Right side. Over here. Rope deployed. Legacy, lifting.
It's a relief to get out, but everything slows down while you're exposed, holding your breath for that happy ending. And when you get it, you feel on top of the world. Of course, then we got to commute home, just like everybody else.
Sometimes, something very different must be delivered behind enemy lines. Something precious and desperately needed. Food. Sierra Leone is a country that has suffered years of conflict.
I find it extremely tragic that people are still starving to death in this century. They live from day to day, If they are attacked, if they are displaced, if they have to move from the area that they have access to their food, then that's when the process starts. That's when they start losing the way to cope.
The UN is here, not to favor really one side over another. I mean, we're here basically to end a conflict and then try to get the parties to settle the difference and to try to return a country to peace. Infrastructure for roads in this country is very minimal. It's almost imperative that we be able to move troops in and also the supplies and equipment they need by air. This is the world's largest helicopter, and I'll tell you, without it, we certainly would be lost in this country.
From the food depot to the hotspot, helicopters provide an air bridge.
Daru itself, it is kind of an island, a safe island surrounded by areas that are unsafe. And for that reason, it always served as a sort of magnet for very vulnerable people coming out. You have a supplementary feeding program that is run by one of the NGOs, International Medical Care. So all children under 5 who are malnourished will be given a special feeding program in Daru. And the under 5s are always the first ones you target for any kind of extreme malnourished cases because they die very quickly. You give some bulgur, some oil, and some split peas. You give them very basic things that can give a lot of hope and can change people's lives.
Around the world, millions of human lives have been saved by helicopters. In South Africa, they are helping to save a wild animal from extinction, the black rhino. Protected in a few remote preserves, their numbers are rising. But if the rhinos feel overcrowded, they will fight to the death. Some must be relocated to safe habitats. Easier said than done.
There's only about 3,000 black rhinos left in the world, which makes them extremely endangered.
We're just going in to have a look.
Okay, onder ons nou.
I'll keep you informed.
Ja, Piet, jy nie bult. Net rechts van hom.
Okay, there she goes.
So at least we've got a good angle on her. Let's give her a camera, else we scare her.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to hold back here and see what she does.
When you are darting animals like black rhino, there's immense trust between myself and Pete the pilot. I know exactly what he's going to do and where he's going to place me, and I don't have to think. I can just concentrate on the animal. I just know he's going to put me there in the right spot at the right time. It's almost that he senses what the animal's going to do. In that way, he can change the animal's mind with his helicopter.
I'm going in for my dot.
Nice shot.
You know, working with these animals, one's got to be very careful at all times. You know, you don't want to waste an animal's life.
Okay, Daryl, are you happy? Yeah, I'm happy. You guys can move. The one that we've got here is a female, and we would like to try and sling her out, so get all the stuff ready for slinging.
The helicopter is actually now a part of me. So I don't even think about flying. I feel extremely comfortable in a helicopter. I can read the animals and understand them, and I've got the patience not to push them too hard.
So yeah, I think you can move in slightly. Down already, over? Yeah, she's down, and just watch out. The one that we darted in here with me, please come. Okay.
Once the animal is darted, we try to get to it as soon as possible, make sure it's breathing well. We've been collecting blood samples, horn samples, and skin samples from the ear mark. And all these will be used to its full extent to get as much information as possible. And that will make it possible to manage them in terms of relocation. Black rhinos need space. It's not an animal that survives very well in zoo situations. Every animal is just so valuable, and any information that can be collected on them, it's worth its weight in gold.
Every helicopter crew is in a race against time. Every mission has a limit. But some crews push that limit out into the unknown.
SAR launch, SAR launch. Put the ready 860 and C-130 on the line. Vessel taking on water. Put the ready 860 and C-130 on the line. SAR launch, SAR launch. Put the ready 860 and C-130 on the line. Vessel taking on water.
Lock it up, please.
We were working in tandem with a C-130 Hercules that day. Our mission was to search and rescue two brothers whose 26-foot sailboat was taking on water. They were about 250 miles out. In February, when you're alone in the Atlantic, that spells trouble.
Key City Air, rescue copter 6026. Any updates on the status of the two men on board?
26 E City, roger. Status is unknown at this time.
One sentence doesn't exist for a rescue swimmer. That is, sir, I can't do it. They won't ever say that, especially if they see the survivor. Then it's their survivor and it's personal.
Rescue 6026, Camsland Chesapeake. The C-130 reports that the vessel is sinking. Survivors are in the water. Camsland 6026, roger that. Doug, time to fire up the night sun.
Everything comes down to one tight-knit team. We make the confirmed plan as a group.
I have a visual on the vessel. 10 o'clock at 200 yards. Boat is fully capsized. No sign of survivors.
Adrenaline can get to you. Bob's first time out, he jumped without his fins, and we've been calling him Flipper ever since.
I have a visual on two survivors. 9 o'clock at 75 yards. They've left the vessel. Roger that. Give me a checklist part 2 for harness deployment of the rescue swimmer. Roger. Preparing the hoist. Set backup pump on. Backup pump is on. Set hoist all. Hoist is all. Checking swimmer. Swimmer's ready?
At night, the sharks scare me. I don't pretend I'm not afraid. I work within my fear. I prepare for it. Rescue swimmers prepare for everything.
Swimmer going down. Swimmer halfway down. Roger. On the east. Pulling swimmer into the water. Swimmer away. Swimmer okay. Basket is away. Roger. Rick, be advised we are bingo fuel in 20 minutes. Roger that.
Some people we rescue get combative. You're saving their life, but they're just so scared. They're fighting to survive in deep water.
Basket is halfway up. Basket is at 20 feet. Basket is at 10 feet. Basket is at the cabin. Basket going down. Roger that. Rick, we are bingo fuel inside. Roger. bingo fuel at this time. If we don't depart right now, we're not going to make it. Doug, can you use the ERD? Negative, I'm unable to pay out cable. Doug, see if you can get that raft down into the water. We'll drop the DMV and we'll see if we can get the HERT to relay, request another helicopter out here. Raft is away.
You face a challenge. There isn't anything you wouldn't do to meet it. That makes it hard when fate steps in.
Let's head on out of here. Let's depart the hover now. Be advised, we have a sail point and we are bingo fuel. We completed our emergency procedures, leaving the rescue swimmer on scene.
I knew I'd be in the water for a while, but I wasn't thinking about sharks. I was thinking how glad I was that we got those guys out. If you lose someone, it can haunt you for the rest of your life. I've never lost anyone, so I sleep at night. Well, most nights.
When they radioed us, the flipper was all right. We were just so grateful. When it's one of your own men, you feel it even more. You realize what a privilege it is to fly a helo. It's a chance to make a difference in someone's life.
It's the most beautiful sound you can wake up to.